Welcome to the Pink Lady Posse podcast, where women over 50 take a fresh look at living, toss out tired stereotypes, and say a big heck yes to what's next. I'm your host, Sandy Parker, and around here, we challenge limitations, rewrite the story on aging, and reclaim our power, pleasure, and purpose. Why? Our next years are not about a decline. They are our big reveal. Let's go. Everybody, Sandy Parker with the Pink Lady Podcast, and I am here with Christina Vidovich. And interestingly enough, we were introduced by someone we have in common, and they were like, "Oh, you two got to know each other." So the first things I learned about her were she had an interest in dance, which we'll come back to that, and she's a podcaster and a live streamer. So I want to know what that is. And she has a mission of women getting visible. So welcome, 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 Christina.
Thank you, Sandy. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so happy to know you. And hello, lady in pink. You are amazing.
Thank you. Well, so when we first talked, I told you that my mother was a dance teacher for Arthur Murray.
Yeah.
And you're now in a visible space teaching other women how to be visible, but that wasn't where you started.
No,
So
no.
tell me about Two Left Feet. I love that name.
Well, I'll even tell you how I got that name. When I decided to branch out on my own because I had been dancing and I'd been doing, learning and coaching from someone else and said, you know what, this portion, this piece of educating and showcasing in front of others was great, but I wanted something more for me. And when I decided to do it, I said, what would be a great name that people could come to the studio? Because there's a lot of those, Miss Christina. I'm like, no, it's not about me. Or, and people are afraid of the Arthur Murrays and the Fred Astaire's because they sound so intimidating. And when I wrote down Two Left Feet, I laughed my head off and said, oh my gosh, that's so funny. And 2 pages later, I continued to write all the ideas. And when I went back to the beginning, I laughed my head off again, Two Left Feet. And I'm like, that's it. If that's my reaction, then that's the reaction that I'm going to get from other people who are intimidated to walk through the door. And it's funny because the hardest step in learning how to dance is that first step in the door and on the dance floor. So that's where that came from. And I actually worked with seniors when I first started teaching around the area, and I worked at a senior center. And I learned so much about how the seniors learned and how repeating the steps and doing it in a way that was educational. Because these people, I'm outside of the Washington, D.C. area, are engineers and these brilliant minds who have worked in this area. And they don't want to be talked down to just because, oh, I didn't get it right away. They wanted to learn in a way that made sense for them. So I would teach 3 steps at a time, the same 3 lessons 3 times in a row, and they loved it. And they could walk away and say, I knew something. My mind might not be what it was when I was 20, 30, 40, 50, but here I am 70 and 80 learning how to ballroom dance. Yeah, and it was just a magnificent thing to be able to have that. And then I took that into my studio and used that same steps to teach all people how to dance. And they went, wow, this is amazing.
Now, there came a time from teaching lessons to having a business, right? Did you just say, I'm going to have a business, or how did you make that step?
So when I left what I had been doing in ballroom, because that was what I started off when I left college. My degree is in fashion design, business, and psychology. And I said, that's a piece right there is tough when it comes to the psychology, but I still want to do something that helps people. That's fascinating. But I ended up in the ballroom world and then made that decision that, you know what, I love this. I love what I'm doing. That is where I wanted to teach people. And it's interesting, when I first started, I was teaching 36 hours. And then on top of that, I was running a business for 36 hours. The hardest part was letting go and hiring that first instructor. And I hired my first 2 at the same time and said, you know what? You just have to trust that they know what they're doing. They know how to dance and they can take care of it. And then little by little, I was able to pull myself out of the studio and start working remotely in 2010 before a lot of people were working remotely and had
Wow.
14 instructors that worked with me. And I say with me, not for me, because we're a team.
So when you were working remote, were you running the business remote
Yes.
and trusting
Yes.
these people that were working with you were doing the business so that you could be out doing what? Promoting it?
Well, vacationing, spending time with
Oh,
my family, wintering. I
what a
don't do winter.
concept. Self-care. Oh,
Yes, exactly. And I don't do winter. And it was funny because one of my teachers who was newer that year called me and she goes, I don't mean to interrupt your conversation as I'm strolling down Ocean Avenue in Miami Beach. And I'm like, this is not a vacation. I am here. The reason you're calling me and you can talk to me right now is because I'm always there. As soon as I'm done with this beautiful walk, I'm going to go back on my computer. I'm going to be sending emails. I'll be calling clients, seeing how everybody's lessons are going, and if anybody needs anything. And then I'll go out and have a nice dinner with a nice ocean view. But this, I planned it and I worked it out in a way that everybody was happy from not only myself, the people who were working for me, and my clients. So I was always staying in tune with everything that was going on.
okay. So you had two left feet, a business,
Mhm.
and then it ended.
So we had to make the pivot, as I like to say,
Yeah.
not in 2020 and 21. And during that pivot, I said, what am I going to do next? And then that is when I stepped into podcasting. And it was sitting with myself and going, what was the other thing during all of the dance times that you wanted to do? And I love it because it was talk to women. With the teachers that I had, I was still the boss, so I couldn't be in those conversations and the intimacy that they would talk about because I still am the boss. And I'm like, oh my goodness, if I could be, well, I am a fly on the wall, listening to these
Yeah.
conversations, but if I could record conversations where women are having real conversations about their life and talking, how fun would that be? So I did my first podcast, which was my practice. I did my mindfulness podcast, which I still love to do. And then I moved into women's health, wealth, and happiness and started reaching out to women around the world to get them to talk about what women's health, wealth, and happiness meant and how that could bridge across cultures and how we share these stories together of where we are in our life and how they can change because when we're 30 years old is not the same when we're 50
Mhm.
the life experience in that time. And it was such a beautiful, amazing story. Because of podcasting, I started to go, okay, I'm doing all the editing myself because I love it. And it's a place and a tool for me to learn what I'm doing, learn how I'm speaking, better myself by watching myself through editing the podcast. But I said, you know what? My time is starting to become more valuable, and there's so many more women, 4 billion on the planet, that
Yeah.
and I can't talk fast enough. So I decided to move into live streaming. So now with the opportunity to live stream, I can have my pre-interview with someone and then go into that live stream. It takes me 15 minutes at most to set up, create a new video, post it, put it out there, and then we go live whenever that's scheduled.
Now,
And
what is the live stream you have at a regular time every day or every week?
yes, we do Wednesdays at 3 Eastern time. And then I sometimes, when I'm traveling, will have a guest and we do a pop-up interview live at that time. So I've done one in London and I've done another one recently at a podcast conference in North Carolina.
Women getting visible. When you said, I watched myself on the camera, I could edit myself, you learned amazing skills, but you also have to put yourself out there.
Yes.
So this podcast will be listened by women who are 50 plus. And when I first heard women getting visible, I thought, aren't we ready to be visible? Is that a thing?
Yes, yes. And you are visibly out there with your pink glasses and your pink posse. And I
I'm
love
out there.
that. Yes. And what I love is as I'm meeting community leaders like you, I'm going, oh, do you know this community leader? And do you know this community leader?
Mhm.
Because within our own networks, we're right, I am seeing it's like, wow, when we start to pull and start to meet, because there's some crossover. We do know some of the same people, but then there's 100 women that we don't know
Right.
and who are trying to figure out, where do I get visible? How do I put myself out there? Because when I started Women Getting Visible, it literally was a moment, May 1st, 2025. I will never forget.
Wow.
I woke up and a little voice said, Women Getting Visible. It's like through this ear and out. And I'm, what? I'm like, oh. And I went to lay back down. Literally, I can still to this day feel my head about to hit the pillow with my hairs just touching it. And I sat up and I said, no, that's it. That's my mission. And somebody asked me shortly thereafter, a business coach, well, what does visibility mean to you? And I said, I'm going to
Mm.
sit with that. As I get to know other people and what that word means, I will come back and I will tell you. And the fun thing is the conference that I just had at October 10, 11, 12 in Washington, D.C., those things came to light and I shared them. Visibility is one, speaking up, speaking on stage, speaking on podcasts, getting your voice out there and literally being in the front of the room visible. Two, being part of a community, being visible within your community. So you have a number of ladies and you know who the author is, who the podcaster is, who the real estate agent is, who is the love therapist, who is the business coach, and they stand out. But some of them don't want to be on the stage. They're happy being supported in that community and being visible in that community. And the last piece that became really apparent to me about what visibility is confidence.
Mm.
So, having come from a place on stage in front of auditoriums and dancing, people were seeing me, but they weren't hearing the voices, they weren't hearing the stories of my life. So, that became a, oh, I'm about to talk in front of people now in a bigger way than introducing myself or introducing a dancer out there. And so I had to put myself in a place of learning my own confidence, of finding my own voice, of going, yes, I am part of a number of communities and people know me as the podcaster. And yes, I love to be on stage and I want to speak in front of people. And oh my gosh, can I do this? How do we find the trust within ourselves that I can get in front of a room of an intimate setting of 5, 10, 20 women standing in front of 100, standing in front of 1,000? And one of the ladies said, I don't believe in imposter syndrome. She goes, I think it's confidence syndrome. And I said, wow, that's an interesting way to put it, of finding that confidence, putting yourself out there and not being afraid. And so yeah, I've gone through my own transformation where until January of this year, I was sitting on this side of the camera all the time, doing my interviews happily. I went to my first conference in January. I went to my next conference in March and then May and then June. I started to pick all these pieces that I loved about these conferences to say, ooh, this is the best piece. I'm going to bring it over into mine. And through that, getting more confident with what program I was putting together. I lost 30 pounds this year. Well, one, because I was nervous at that first conference and going, I'm going to be in front of people again, and I haven't done this in a while, and I don't know what's going to happen. So 4 days, I'm like, eating my little, granola bars and being happy with it. But it was also a place I wanted to be for myself, getting back to my dancer body before my son was born and
Mhm.
saying, this is the body I'm comfortable in. This is the body that knows how to stand in proper framing and bring that back to the stage. So, all those lessons that I learned over the 20 years of running a business and showing up, I am now finding in my life in podcasting and doing the conferencing and helping other people because now my next piece is also to help people show up as a guest, how to get more confident and be visible on camera.
Well, I have to tell you an experience I had just this week. Go High Level is a software platform, and they had their big conference in Dallas. And I live an hour and a half away. And there's a lady that I wanted to meet, and I knew she had a booth at that conference. And so I thought, all right, I'm going to drive there and I'm going to go meet her. And I walked in the room, this atrium with all these people, and I would say, I don't know how many thousands, but most of them were young men, software providers and agencies. And I stood in the middle of that place and I said, I bet I am the only 69-year-old woman in this atrium here to do what I said I'm going to do. And I was just so kind of astonished at my guts. And then I had sort of this whiplash like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? And then I was like, nope, I'm here. I'm going to go meet that woman. And she had such a line of people. I had to take her away for a minute. I told this client, I'm just going to borrow her for 1 second. I need you to do a quick picture. And we went, geez. And I got it. And I was so proud of myself for showing up,
Yes.
even in the argument in my mind, are you sure? Are you really going? And then I went, and then I had a little bit of nerves, like, do I have the nerve? I thought, you know what? Showing up is the hardest part. Staying in the plan that you started with imposter syndrome or confidence syndrome, or even that hesitation can just creep in so easily. And then I got the picture. She met me. Everything worked out the way I had intended.
Hmm.
But the leftover was that I have integrity with myself
Yes.
because I said I'm going to do something and I did it. And the results, well, we'll have to see. So when you're working with women and they're building up their confidence, A, in what they have to say, and B, how are they going to say it? What do you find to be the biggest blocks? What stops women from saying what they think or doing what they say or applying to speak on stages? Are they pretty consistent?
You know, it's the whole getting out of your own way. Because how many times do we doubt ourselves? And suddenly, when you speak up, you realize you're being supported. People are already, just like at the beginning of our conversation before the podcast, of suddenly somebody said something to you and you went, oh, I didn't realize that I was already making an impact and people are already there for you. Yeah,
We don't know that, do we?
yeah, that's true.
And I wonder, there's a lot of cultural implications, right? Like the women are supposed to be seen and not heard,
Mhm.
right? And so in your own internal upbringing, birth to now, you've inherited some concepts that are probably not yours. And so kind of discovering what they are and then challenging what they are. I have a phrase I use to myself all the time is I have a say in how my life goes. I have a
Yes,
say in how everything goes that affects me. And that word say, I have a say, but I have to say it,
yes, yeah.
right? What do you do with people to, how do you guide people to start speaking?
It's so interesting. For this recent experience that I've had, one of the young gals said, I want to speak on stage. I've done all the tests and it says I need to be a speaker. And we had a call. And I said, I know your story. I said, tell the apex. Tell the moment that your life changed. Get that hook right out there because that's actually the hardest part to getting and admitting that that's what happened, whatever it is. And then you've got people interested in that story. Then they go, well, how did you get there? And that's the next part of the story. And where are you today? And it's amazing. As soon as we tell those stories and share those stories, that one, it's a release for ourselves. The stories we've been hiding and holding on to, whether it's childhood shame or something that happened to us as an adult, and we're like, oh, did I really do that? And when you finally let go, you realize, one, you're not the only one in the room that has had something embarrassing happen to you, or of holding on to some childhood trauma of some being made fun of for some reason, that it's not you. And that's one of the things I've even had to take away for myself recently about, you know, especially those of us who put ourselves out there and you put the videos, and if there's that one comment that comes in that you're like, oh, and you can either walk around with that comment and hold on to it, or you can say, this isn't about me. This is about you. This is your experience, and you're putting your expectations on me. I didn't put those expectations out. You put them on me. So I don't need those expectations. Yes.
So you speak out and someone has their reaction and it wasn't what they expected, but the expectation was theirs,
Yes.
right? So they're putting their expectations out there. I love the example of I invite you to dinner and I don't serve chicken, and you go, you didn't serve chicken. Like, but I didn't say I was serving chicken. So that tells me that we live in assumptions.
Mhm.
We live in expectation of ourselves. I was talking about making money with a group that I meet with, and they said, how about changing that to receiving money? And I'm like, that reframe really made a difference because I have the expectation that I should be able to make money. I don't know where I got that, but I look around and I think everybody else is making money. Well, that's an assumption that may not be true. And that's an expectation that I created out of nowhere. So I have to actually take a pause and look, what are my words saying? What does that mean? Where are the assumptions and where are the expectations?
Mhm.
Because I'm alone responsible for that. So I love that you're teaching women how to be visible.
Yeah.
And now you just had this wonderful conference.
Mhm.
Did it meet your expectations?
You know, 3 weeks before it went on, I took all of the stress off my shoulders. I said, you know what? I've told my story. I've shared what I'm doing. Whatever woman is going to be in the room is going to be in the room, are meant to be there.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to micromanage, because I had a couple of the speakers come and say, well, this is what I want to talk about. And I said, as long as you mention visibility, that's my only expectation, because this is a visibility conference. Other than that, the words are yours. Use your talents to share. And I just let go and let flow. And even I had one lady, and I love this. She was just like, oh, the time schedule. She's someone who's very meticulous about time schedule. And I laugh because she's half Filipino like I am. And she's like, when I realized we were running on Filipino time, which is everything is always a little bit late, I could let go and be present. And again, for her not to have the expectations that we had to be strict on schedule. And if people wanted to talk a little bit longer and network a little bit longer, and the speaker didn't quite make it to the stage at the exact moment, that it was okay, that we are all here together to be together, and we can forgive each other if we're showing up the way we are. And even forgiveness isn't the right word. We can accept that we are the way we are, and we can share in this moment. And just letting go of those expectations and not even knowing what to expect in the end. Can I just say, Sandy, I am floored. I had women come up to me at the end and say, I'm walking away with 30 new best friends. Yes, and I'm not just connecting with them on socials. I actually put their numbers in my phone. And we know getting in someone's cell phone is an
That's the
intimate
deal.
place.
Wow, I love that. You know, what I'm seeing is what you learned in the dance studio about trusting
Yeah,
gives people the space to arrive, right? They can just show up as themselves because they're not put in a finite space or a box, right? We talk about that. So, of all the women that might be listening, if you were going to say maybe one or two or three steps, or maybe it's just one, to enhance your life, to become more visible, what would that nudge be? Let's call it a nudge. What would that nudge be?
sure. It would trust yourself. Just trust yourself. Just walking into the room, and we talked about it just a minute ago, of going, don't second guess. If you wanted to go meet that person in the room, go meet them. You will be so surprised about how open that person's going to be with you, even if they're so busy. It'll also give you an idea of going, okay, have I found the right person that really resonated with me? And then those other people in the room, whether it's physically in the room or in the Zoom room, take a moment and find the people that resonate with you and have a chat. Start there, and suddenly your world will become open to more opportunities that you didn't even know. It's like opening up the window and letting the breeze come in. It's
Oh,
like,
that
oh,
sounds so good. I'm like, yes. And, just letting myself be myself.
yeah,
Because there's a lot of, how should I say, protocol,
mhm,
or like I even wore my rhinestone tennis shoes to that
yes,
meeting with my big pink bows and my pink glasses. And I thought, somebody's going to think I'm crazy. And I'm like, you know what? This is it. This is what you get. Here I am. There's an integrity with myself that I have to get situated with. Is this who you are? Is this what you want? Are you ready to go? Then go.
yeah. Well, and I also have a alter ego that
Tell
some
me.
people know. She pops up every so often. Her name is Sylvia Torstein.
Hmm.
And Sylvia actually was born out of a real encounter with somebody who just had me floored about she was so different than any other human I'd ever met on this planet. And so I encompassed her and then developed her through myself. And Sylvia has black hair about so long. Sylvia's always in her sunglasses, and Sylvia is fabulous, let me just tell you.
Fabulous.
But it's an opportunity for me to share. Everybody knows Christina, but Sylvia is the fun, the party girl, the things that Christina can't be. So to bring her out visibly as another piece is so fun for me to watch the reaction and to get over it, because Sylvia was born about 12 years ago. And she had a YouTube channel, but not even under her own name, because I was embarrassed that I was doing this alter ego character. And now, just this year in 2025, my year of yes, I brought Sylvia. She has her own YouTube channel now. As I talk about it, I'm meeting other people who also have alter ego characters. Yes, who bring out the
Okay,
business.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. Wait,
it's
wait,
so
wait.
fun.
So there, you actually have a character, like, what would that be? You become her, like an
Yes.
actor.
Like Tracy Ullman had alternate ego characters that she would perform. She's the best example that I can think of. Or Dame
Okay.
Edna. Dame
Yeah.
Edna had a completely different life than the life in front of the camera. Yes.
Now, how much freedom do you have to give yourself to just let her rip? Right?
Well, and it's funny, I don't associate Sylvia's a different, when I think of her, I think of her as a character. She is someone opposite. Well, I don't want to say opposite, but Christina's not Sylvia.
Well, I heard a woman, and I'll get her name to you, and But she talked about how when you look at a stage and there's a main character where the spotlight's on the main character, and when the light lifts, there are other people that have been on the stage the whole time, but you just didn't really notice them because the spotlight was on the main character. And she was saying all of us have our main character, and then we have the other supporting roles that are us. They're
Yes.
just parts of us that don't get front and center.
Hmm.
So, would you say Sylvia is like that for you? She's a part of you expressed a different way?
Absolutely. And a level of joy that it brings for me is just because it's fun. It's where I don't have to be serious. It's where I don't have to worry about, teaching, coaching, helping, presenting. Sylvia is the starlet in her own mind.
Well, I'm doing a TED talk. I'm so excited. I found out that I get to do it in November. And as
Fantastic.
I was writing the TED talk, I was talking about sitting at this desk, writing a do list. And on my do list was like mammogram and hearing aids and windshield, you know. And then I said it was 100% maintenance and 0% confetti.
Mm.
And then this sentence that just came out of me, it says, I was on pause, like I'd gone backstage in a life I used to star in. And I remember I did used to star in my life. When did I go backstage? Like when, and I just thought that phrase, it's like I went backstage in a life I used to star in. It
Yeah.
has all about your intention with yourself to be fully expressed, to be fully visible, and to come out of the dark.
Exactly. Exactly. And that has been for me my personal transformation this year, getting back on the stages and getting back in front of people. I've called 2025 my year of yes, and 2026 is going to be my year of visibility.
Okay, so 2025 was your year of yes. I want to do that for 2026. A year of yes.
Yeah.
What does that open up? Even just saying it. Did you find shifting happen by even just the word of that saying yes?
Absolutely. It's funny because when I talk about it, it's like, here's the door, our front door. And I said, okay, let me just take a peek out and let one thing come in. So, so what if our hair isn't done the right way that day? So what if we're, like we just got an email that, oh, a bill for something that you like weren't expecting. I need a
Mhm.
new whatever it is. You know what? Let's go and take the moment. Let's go meet some new people. Let's go do something for ourselves. Take that vacation because why do we wait? It was a wonderful conversation I heard of somebody who got a bottle of champagne and sat on that bottle of champagne for 10 years waiting for that thing
Oh,
to happen and said, you know what? Today's the day. Open the champagne and drink it. Celebrate this moment.
you're such an inspirational woman, and it's refreshing.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's life giving. And it's so encouraging, which is why I have a podcast to begin with, because meeting women like you nourishes my life. And then what we do here nourishes someone else. And, that's where I want women to declare we rise together.
Yes.
This isn't competition. This is like all of us gather up, support each other, and get visible.
Exactly. And one of my analogies with that and talking about that type of community, that support is we can climb that mountain, but if we climb it alone, it's going to be tough and it's going to be a struggle. And when you stand up there, you're the only one up there. But if you reach down and you reach up and we all help each other, we can celebrate on that mountaintop together and share in the brilliance and the beauty of what we've created and done as a collective.
There's this epidemic of loneliness.
Yeah.
Connection isn't cute is critical.
Yes.
We have to have each other to be well.
Yes.
So I love what you're up to. Thank you so much for being with me today. And I'm going to make sure in the show notes to have where people can get in touch with you. I'm so happy to know you. Thanks for hopping on with me. And I can't wait to change the world together.
I'm on it. Let's go hand in hand. Thank you, Sandy, for today.
Yeah, it's so great to be with you.
You too.
Thanks for tuning in to Pink Lady Posse Podcast, where women go from what now to what's next. Come join us at pinkladyposse.com, where we share community, resources, and tools to support your next beautiful chapter. With love, light, and a little lipstick. See you next time.